Maybe I won't take the shot. Listen, this might be my last commentary. I was hired to do 26, and this is 26. I got a little problem, a little ethical problem, and I figured you ought to know about it. It seems to me that the people that you spend your time watching, whom you honor with your attention, whom you in some small way deify, ought to be fairly straight with you and ought to tell you where their weaknesses lie. A number of years ago, I was working on Twilight Zone, and I walked off the show. I did a show that was about racism and bigotry. CBS wouldn't shoot it. They said it would offend people. I said, who, the racists and bigots? If there weren't any racism or bigotry, we wouldn't have to do a show like this. Well, they didn't do it, and I said, that's it. I can't work for you. I can't work for people I can't respect. And I motored. Now, you got to understand something about me. Apart from this network and this channel which hire me, I'm basically hardcore and employable, and I walked away from a $4,000 a week job. And I did it because, not because I'm such a great, honorable person, but because my gut would not let me stay there. I couldn't work there. Well, I now find that situation assailing me as regards this channel, which is owned by the USA Network. And it has something to do with the blurring of reality and fantasy, which is very much what we talk about on this show. What's real? What's imagined? You know, the Sci-Fi Buzz will show you the way they do special effects, and you'll see that it's not real. But when you go to a theater, you think it's real. In August, USA Network did a film about the relationship between Bobby Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. Now, understand something. I have no brief one way or the other. I never knew Bobby Kennedy. I never knew Marilyn Monroe. I don't really care about it. I don't really care whether they went to bed or not. But I think that the movie they did was awful. I think it was miserable to do such a film because it put them in bed. No one knows whether they went to bed. And like many of these docudramas, they fabricated history. There was a piece, it's right here, it was in TV Guide. They asked the director, Brad May, who oddly enough was the director when I did Grandma, the Stephen King show on Twilight Zone. Brad May, that was his first job. I directed along with him there. Brad May says he saw nothing wrong with inventing things about historical figures for Marilyn and Bobby, her final affair. Quote, I think it's fair game. They're public figures. God knows it may be crossing the line a bit, but I think that's okay. You think that's okay? No, it's not okay, Brad. Now, Brad Kay's just a director. See, and most directors, I'm not Brad. Brad's a very nice man. I like Brad. But most directors have the intellectual capacity of an artichoke. But this was something that was done by the USA Network. Brad May was a hired gun. The actors who played in it, they were hired guns. This was put together by the USA Network by a guy named Tom Piscura and by his boss, who's been very nice to me, Dave Kennan. He's a lovely man. And I found it so offensive that I couldn't sleep. Several nights I just sat up, and finally my wife said to me, what's the matter? And I said, I got to leave the channel. She said, why? I said, because I can't respect them. I can't respect anybody who would do something as morally indefensible as that. And she said, you better call Barry Shulman. So I called Barry Shulman. I called Dick Crew, who's the producer of this show. Barry Shulman is the vice president in charge of programming. I told him what my problem was. Dick understood, and Barry understood. He understood well enough to say, what do you want to do about it? And I said, there's only one thing left to me to do. I said, I've got to leave the show. I mean, you're not going to change your policies at the USA Network. And then Barry Shulman said something to me that was very important. He said, you know, he said, your ethics are your ethics. He said, but if you hold to them 100%, you'll never be able to buy a pair of shoes because they have to kill cows to get them. You'll never be able to swat the mosquito on your arm that's sucking your blood because you can't take life. And he's right. You can go crazy with the ethics thing. You can go absolutely out of your mind. What you have to do, I guess, is go where your gut takes you. And you have to remember what's reality, you have to remember what's fantasy. And I said to Barry, why don't I just do a commentary about it? And he said, I'll go talk to the network, see what they say. And they came back and they said, okay. So I'm here, savaging my own network on probably what is the last commentary I will do. Who knows if they're going to re-up me. If it isn't shown, it won't matter because I won't be here anyhow. But I think you need to know that from time to time, this kind of stuff is bad. It's bad for people. It's bad for them not to know what's real. You got to know what's fantasy. You got to know what's reality. We deal in fantasy on this channel, but by God, we know what's reality. How do you like this? This is a still photo from the new movie, The Invasion of the Panda People. No, not really. What this is, folks, is what I looked like after I got smashed by the earthquake. Yeah, I'm back. Like they said in Poltergeist, he's back. Back again on Sci-Fi Buzz, back again doing the commentaries. But I'm wearing the dark glasses because we had a little problem out here in Los Angeles. A lot of people in the other parts of the country don't seem to understand quite what it was like. 4:31 in the morning on the 21st of January, I was sitting up here in my office on the second floor of the house working when the first temblor hit, the first burst of energy. The temblor came from out there. The fault line runs across the San Fernando Valley from the left. And it came here. It hit in two bursts of energy. When the first one hit, because I'd been through 5 earthquakes before, I was up and moving already. I got as far as over here when the second one hit. And the second one hit big because it didn't have any place else to go. It came across the valley and it had to go somewhere else. And it came straight up through the damn mountain. And it lifted this house and it held it in its hand like a giant and it gargled. It shook that house for 19 seconds. You want to know what 19 seconds is, folks? Sit there and watch the sweep second hand of your clock. Watch it for 19 seconds. I got this far, the lights went out, pitch dark. I got thrown down the stairs, face first against this. Then it bounced me off that and hit over here. And then after it bounced me here, it picked me up and threw me down this last flight, which I took on the fly, never touched it. Did a flip in the air, landed upside down on my back right here. Missed this by about 1.5 inches, which would have squashed my head like an eggshell. And then as I lay there, this on the wall came down. This was a very large painting, and as you can see from the nails pulling loose, it just ripped loose. This painting had a double wafer of glass. It fell and smashed and broke my nose, blacked both my eyes, gave me a concussion, and blood everywhere. I couldn't see a thing. It was pitch dark. Then, when I lay there, all of a sudden, every book up here in these racks, all of these nonfiction books came down on me. And all of the books on the railing came down. All of those you see on the table here, all of those were up there. Everything fell in on me and knocked me unconscious again. Well, when I came to, I managed to get up, blood all over the place, and in the dark, I dragged myself out of here. That's what it was like at 4:31 in the morning. Where we're sitting now, a month and a half later, used to be my porch. I now have the world's largest collection of glass shards. We figure we lost about 40–50% of everything we owned in the house. I wasn't the only one in the community. Richard Christian Matheson lost his entire house in the fire. People have lost their homes in the mudslides and the earthquake. And the people who helped us are amazing. I mean, guys came from as far away as Eugene, Oregon. Chris Rush, the editor of Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, she came down to help. And Dave Bischoff came down from Oregon. Ed Bryant from Colorado. Terry Dowling and his lady friend Nikki came all the way from Australia. And most impressive of all, after we went after her on this program, Mercedes Lackey, Misty Lackey from Tulsa, Oklahoma, came in, got down on her hands and knees, and washed floors. This is a wonderful community, the science fiction community. These people know each other, and they help each other in times of stress. I'm back. I'm back for 16 more of these wonderful commentaries, and just so it won't be a total waste and me complaining about the earthquake, I want to turn you on to a couple of items, because I've been away for a while. The first is a terrific labor of love done by a guy named Rick Norwood, Manuscript Press. What this is the reprints of all of the beautiful Hal Foster Prince Valiant strips done in full size with gorgeous, gorgeous layouts. It's about 150 bucks, but it's a wonderful thing to have. This is the 3rd volume. Here's another thing. This is the best new book I've read in years. You'll love it. Go get it. It's a book called The Woman Between the Worlds by a new writer named F. Gwynplaine McIntyre. It'll knock your socks off. Get it. I haven't enjoyed a book as much as this in years. Otto Penzler of Penzler Books, who used to be Mysterious Press, now he's just Penzler Books, is doing exact replicas of first editions of the great American mysteries. This is the first one, The Maltese Falcon, deckle-edged, the complete book exactly as it was originally published. And these are only 35 bucks a shot. And if I may, Mindfields, the book I've done with Jacek Jurka, is finally out. And it's available. The publisher is Morpheus. Other than that, it's Harlan Ellison saying to you, when they say, did the earth move for you, be careful what they mean.
They weary me. They just weary me. The producer, Mr. Dick Crew, and oh, by the way, those of you who have sent in letters of concern, yes, he's much recovered. When we threw the woodpeckers on his wooden leg, we've replaced that now with a new aluminum one. It's much better. Mr. Crew says, can you tie this commentary in with the Academy Awards? I said, I got your tie-in right here, Mo. He wants me to talk about sci-fi and science fiction and the Academy Awards. Why bother? It's the same screed every year. Science fiction films make more money than any other genre of films, any other kind of films, but do you ever see them in the Academy Awards? No. They're always nominating something done by Merchant at Ivory, which would put, I don't know, Teflon to sleep. In any case, I don't want to talk about the Academy Awards. I don't watch the damn dumb things. What I want to talk about are sequels. Sequels are wearying me. That's why I'm doing this one on my back. I'm really tired of it. There have only been a couple of good sequels as far as I can tell. 1978, the remake of The Body Snatchers, directed by Philip Kaufman, was wonderful. It was beautifully written, and not by Kaufman, by a writer, not a director. And then, of course, there was the David Cronenberg version of The Fly, which was remade in, I guess it was '86. Those are wonderful. Of course, in 1986 was also the remake of Invaders from Mars, which, when it was originally made back in the '50s, was one of the great stupid movies of all time. I always liked the zipper down the back of the Martians as they ran away from you through the caves. And, of course, when they remade it, it was equally stupid. But that's beside the point. I was recently approached by a film company that wanted to remake Forbidden Planet. The great Forbidden Planet, the great MGM film. You know, Dr. Morbius, Walter Pidgeon, you know, Annie Francis, the Tiger, the whole thing. And I said to them, why remake it? Why would you want to remake it? They said, well, we own the rights. I said, no, you don't understand. It was made properly the first time. Remaking Forbidden Planet is dopey. It was made properly the first time. What you want to do is you want to do the sequel. They said, a sequel? I said, yeah. Those incredible doorways that the Krell came through. What shape were the Krell? What happened to them? Do you mean to tell me that a race that could build those machines, that could create such a planet, those people just died? No. The mystery of what happened to the Krell would be a sensational sequel film. And in fact, everybody who was left alive at the end of Forbidden Planet, at that time, Jack Kelly was not dead, he recently died, still alive. You can have them for cameos. Anne Francis and all the rest of them, Earl Holliman, all of those people can reappear. And then you have the new people go in search of the secret of the Krell. They said, oh, how fascinating, how fascinating. They came and they talked to us endlessly. Never heard back from them. Now, I was having dinner with Ray Bradbury the other night, and Ray said, guess what I've been asked to be a consultant on? I said, what? He said, they're going to remake Forbidden Planet. And then he dropped his head into his hands, and he went like this and said, oh, my, oh, my. And that's what I say, too. There's so many great ideas out there, so many books that have never been touched. Why doesn't somebody pick up J.T. McIntosh's 1 in 300 and make that? Why doesn't somebody finally, with all the morphing techniques we now have, make Alfred Bester's The Demolished Man? Who the hell has the stupidity to want to remake Forbidden Planet? It wearies me. I faint. I go, oh.